Military dependence villages, where Taiwan's history lives on. Military dependence villages in Taiwan are a special part of the island's history. These villages were mainly built between the 1940s and 1960s. Some were built to house soldiers and their families after the Kuomintang retreated to Taiwan in 1949, while others served as government dormitories. Over time, cities developed and most of these villages were no longer in use, but they're still important cultural symbols. Therefore, to protect these historical remains, some villages have been preserved. There is an expectation that they will continue to be an appealing link between past and present. One famous example is 44 South Village in Taipei's Xinyi district, close to Taipei 101. As the first military dependence village in Taipei, it was named after a nearby factory which produced weapons at the time. Now, the village has become a cultural space to display mid-20th century Taiwanese life. It includes an exhibition center and a shop offering locally made souvenirs. On weekends, the outdoor area hosts a market where visitors can buy handmade goods and foods. Also, with Taipei 101 in full view, it's the perfect opportunity to experience the old and modern sides of the city at the same time.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Lauren.
And today we're going to be reading a super cool thing about Taiwan. I think it's a very distinct Taiwanese thing, right?
Right.
They are the military dependent villages.
我知道眷村
Yeah.
对不对?
Have you been to any of them?
Yeah, I think I actually went to the one that we're going to talk about today, so I won't want to talk about it too much.
Okay, no problem then. How about let's get started on today's article so we can talk about it
We
then.
can dive in.
Yes, exactly. Let's dive right in. The first sentence says, military dependence villages in Taiwan are a special part of the island's history. Okay, so I don't want to give too much away because we will learn what these villages are basically.
Okay, so let's take a look at military dependence villages. 大家可能想说好长哦，是什么呢？就是台湾的眷村啦，它是台湾历史中特别的一部分哦。So true.
It is very true. It says here, these villages were mainly built between the 1940s and 1960s.
That's a long way back. 这些村落主要是建于1940年代至1960年代哦。
Some were built to house soldiers and their families after the Kuomintang retreated to Taiwan in 1949, while others served as government dormitories. Okay, so it's really deeply rooted in the history of Taiwan as well. We saw the word retreat. This verb means to move away from a place or an enemy because you're in danger or because you know you have been defeated. When you retreat, you save yourself from further damage or further trouble. Okay, however, if you surrender, it just means you give up. You basically wave a little white flag and admit that you've lost. You give up. How can we use retreat in a sentence? We can say, the fighting got worse over the next few days, so the soldiers decided to retreat and pull back.
Okay, we actually saw a lot of words in the same sentence. 像是我们还看到 house 在这里是当作动词哦，就是为什么什么提供住处的意思。而国民党当然就是中国的国民党哦。那其实英文我们也会简称 KMT。那刚刚 Tiffany 有解释的 retreat 这个动词就是向军队撤退的意思哦。For example, after the soldiers realized they were outnumbered, they had to retreat to a safer location. Or you could actually use it in another example like this. After the surprise exam, The students quickly retreated to their favorite study spots. I love this. OK, 那我们刚刚还看到动词 serve 在这里指的就是用作或是作为什么什么，常见的搭配词是 serve as something， 就是用作什么什么或是作为什么什么。所以课文整句是说，有些村落是1949年中国国民党撤退到台湾后，为安置军人以及家属而建立哦。那另一些则是这个政府的宿舍，也就是刚刚提到的 dormitory 这个字。
That's right. It says here, over time, cities developed and most of these villages were no longer in use, but they're still important cultural symbols. Yeah, it's really cool to see them. Let's take a look at the phrase in use. In use just means something that is currently being used or operated. For example, on an airplane, when the light is red, it means that the bathroom is in use. That means that someone is in there.
In use 这个片语就是被使用哦。For example, sorry, the karaoke machine is in use. We'll have to wait our turn to sing. OK， 那课文是说，随着城市发展，大部分眷村逐渐不再被使用哦，所以它是用 no longer in use。但它们仍然是重要的文化象征哦。
It would be a shame for them to remove it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why it says here, therefore, to protect these historical remains, some villages have been preserved. Okay, when you preserve something, it just means you save something or keep something in its original state. Now, here we saw the word remains. Remains here is a noun and it means the things or parts of something that continue to exist when other parts or things no longer do. So yeah, or they can be either the important parts or the parts of ancient objects and buildings that have survived and are discovered in the present day. So a cool one is if you go to Rome, you can see the remains or some of the remains of these great Roman buildings like the Colosseum or Roman Forum. Okay, for example, we can say this museum has a massive collection of prehistoric remains like fossils and dinosaur bones.
OK, remains 哦，在本课是名词，那通常是以复数形来呈现，就是遗迹啦，或是残存物哦。For example, after the camping trip, the only remains of our bonfire were a few sticks and some ashes. 那我们还看到了 preserve 这个动词哦，就是保护、维护哦。所以课文是说，因此为了保护这些这个历史的遗迹部分的眷村被保留下来哟。
Super cool. It says there is an expectation that they will continue to be an appealing link between past and present. An expectation here is a noun and it means the feeling of expecting something to happen. So for example, we can say there was an expectation that traffic will be heavy during the holiday weekend.
Oh, for sure. Okay, expectation 这个名词就是期望啦、预期啦。For example, my expectation for the movie was low, but it ended up being a total plot twist. OK, 所以回到课文是说，人们期望他们能继续成为连结过去与现在的重要的文化元素啦。
Okay, so here we go. We're going to be talking about a famous one that you can actually visit.
This is the one I went to.
Same. It says here, one famous example is 44 South Village in Taipei's Xinyi District, close to Taipei 101, okay? Here we saw the word district. It's a noun and it means an area of a country or town, especially one that has particular features. So for example, we can say the financial district in New York City is home to the world-famous Wall Street.
我们讲的应该是大家都不陌生的四南村吧。OK， 我们先来看一下 district 这个名词，就是地区、区域哦，或是行政区哦。For example, the district is known for its beautiful parks and historic buildings. 所以课文是说，其中台北市信义区，这里区就是用 district 这个字，它里面著名的四南村便是代表之一啦。
It says here as the first military dependence village in Taipei, it was named after a nearby factory which produced weapons at the time. Actually, I had no idea.
Wow.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's like the first thing I've heard about it. So To be named after something just means you give someone or something the same name as another person or thing. So most of the time, maybe children can be named after their parents or their grandparents, for example. All right, let's take a look at the word weapon. Weapon here is a noun and it means an object such as a knife, gun, bomb, etc. that is used for fighting or attacking somebody. It's not something that you usually will carry on on your daily life. So this is more like maybe for people who are fighting in wars and stuff. So a perfect example is this. J. Robert Oppenheimer helped develop the first nuclear weapon during World War II. Yeah, it's really scary right now because like on the MRT, some people might carry like little weapons and you know how there's like the little attacks or something on there. So yeah, it's not something that you usually bring out. People shouldn't have this anyway, but yeah,
exactly. I agree with you. Okay, so weapon 是什么呢？就是武器啦。这是个名词哦 But if we're talking about playing games, 这个应该大家就可以哦 In the game, your character can use different weapons like swords and bows to fight enemies. We also saw the phrase be named after somebody or something, 就是以什么什么之名而命名。For example, the new ice cream shop is named after the owner's grandmother, and the flavors are amazing.
Yes, yummy. Speaking of weapons, I thought about like Mario Kart. I don't know why. When they throw like the little shells.
I love it. So
yeah,
cute.
Sorry, it's a random thing that I thought of. Okay, but let's move on. We saw the phrase at the time. At the time just means when something happened. So sometimes this happens to me. Like, for example, a huge earthquake happened minutes ago. But at the time, I was on the MRT, so I didn't feel anything.
好险，而且好险它不是很大的那种 earthquake.
I know, I would be so scared.
I know, at the time 就是当时 For example, I was at the park at the time when the big balloon parade started and it was so much fun to watch. 好赞哦，一起
Perfect.
对啊，可以看，然后又玩
I know. Okay, next, the article says, Now, the village has become a cultural space to display mid-20th century Taiwanese life. It includes an exhibition center and a shop offering locally made souvenirs. Yeah, that's what I remember. And they sell a lot of really good, there's a lot of good food stalls there too.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's what I remember. So besides food and some souvenirs, we see that sometimes they hold exhibitions. Exhibition is a noun and it means a collection of things. It could be like, for example, works of art that are shown to the public. For example, okay, this is a very popular spot, Huashan. There's a lot of exhibitions there. Like there was like the Snoopy exhibition. There was like Team Lab, or there's a lot of like comic stuff going on there. So if you're into exhibitions, this is a place for you. Here we can use it in a sentence like this. There's an amazing Picasso exhibition at the Art Museum this month. I'm going.
Oh, good. 而且高雄博尔的也不错。
Oh, yeah,
对
you're
啊，
right.
因为有的人住在高雄，好不好？我们有粉丝在高雄。
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, exhibition 就是展览哦，它是一个名词。For example, we went to the dinosaur exhibition and I got to touch a life-size fossil. It was awesome.
Wow.
还可以碰诶。Okay, souvenir 是什么呢？就是纪念品啦 and that's a noun.
Yeah, I buy a lot of souvenirs when I travel and I go to new
Really?
places.
Is it a good thing? Sometimes I buy a lot of souvenirs 可是我可能回来之后就觉得不
What
知
are you
道
going to
干
do
嘛
with it,
I know, right?
I usually buy like magnets
Don't
or
go
postcards.
crazy.
It's okay, right?
That's true. Postcards you can send them or
Yeah.
keep them like a collection.
That's what I do usually. For my travels, I bring souvenirs. Okay, so next the article then says, on weekends, the outdoor area hosts a market where visitors can buy handmade goods and foods. Okay, that's us.
My favorite
I know,
part.
this is what we do. When something is handmade, it's a pretty easy word. It just means it's made by hand. Goods are basically things that are made to be sold. So they can be things like arts and crafts. So it could be like knitted scarves or hats. That's what you do.
I know.
Pottery, drawings, etc.
OK, handmade 我超喜欢的，就是手工制作的，它是一个形容词。那手工制作的商品，我们是用 goods 这个字哦，这是一个名词，通常是复数形来呈现。所以周末的时候，户外广场还会举办市集啦，那游客可以购买手工制品的商品，还有美食，我跟 Tiffany 都超爱的。
I love it.
But here we gotta take a look at today's language and focus. So we're gonna pause for a minute and listen to me.
Please explain them.
I know, right?
Mean?
Okay, so next we see in the article, it reads, also with Taipei 101 in full view, it's the perfect opportunity to experience the old and modern sides of the city at the same time. 在这一句课文当中，我们就看到今天的 language and focus 就是 with 再接名词片语逗点，然后再接一个主词哦。那本句型是以 with 接名词或是名词片语而形成的介系词片语，放在句子前方做副词使用，以修饰后面的主要子句哦，用来说明主要子句的条件啊或原因，表示有着、由于、随着什么什么哦。所以刚刚的课文还记得它是什么意思吗？就是指此外，从这里呢可以清楚看到台北101，这样子呢让人同时感受旧时光与现代城市的交融，提供了一个体验台北多元风貌的绝佳机会。那进阶写法呢，为在这个 with， 然后再接名词片语后面，再加上介系词片语，用来后位修饰前面的名词片语哟。我们来举个例子会比较清楚。With her laptop on the desk next to her, she quickly responded to all her emails. 笔电放在她旁边的桌上，她迅速回复了所有的电子邮件。Or with the new mall opening nearby, shopping has become much more convenient. 随着新的商场在附近开幕，购物变得更方便喽。
Right, in that sentence, we saw the phrase at the same time. This just means at once or all at once.
Right, okay, so at the same time 就是同时。For example, I can juggle eating snacks and watching TV at the same time. It's my superpower.
Me too.
So
oh my gosh, I love doing that too. Sometimes I also watch TV and then I use my phone at the same time. And I still know what's going on. I love it. Or I chat with you, right?
I know, right?
All right, so we've reached the end of today's article. So that means we have our For You chat. It says, which is the nearest military dependence village to you? Would you like to visit? Why or why not?
It's actually the nearest one would be the 四四南村, which we talked about today. I visited before and love it because it has a mix of history and modern culture. And I just enjoy exploring historical sites.
Yeah. It's the same for me.
And the markets too.
Oh yeah, the markets.
Oh my gosh.
I love it. Same for me. Like it's not very close to me, but then I think it's the closest one to us in Taipei for now. But I love 四四南村 because they always hold a lot of great events.
You can take lots of pictures there too.
Yeah, I remember every weekend they have like different things going on. So it's a really fun place to like go relax with your friends. If the weather is nice, it's a great place to also have a picnic.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Can
There's
we
like
go
a nice
this
little
weekend?
park. Yeah, let's do it. Actually, I haven't been in a while, so we should go do that. Yeah.
Okay, well, 大家听完今天的节目还学得不够尽兴吗？欢迎到空中家教和老师练习喽。
Yeah,
come back tomorrow. It's day 2. Bye bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Retreat. The army lost too many men during the battle, so they had to retreat to safety. Remains. After so many years of damage and weathering, the remains of the old castle can still be seen on the top of the hill. Expectation. Since milk prices have changed several times this year, people have an expectation that they will change again soon. District. Wanhua is one of Taipei's oldest districts, and it used to be a separate town. Weapon. The police officers found the weapon the man had used to attack the woman in his apartment. Exhibition. Jenny was invited to an exhibition where the works of many local artists were being shown.
智慧小补帖
Military Dependence Village. Dormitory. Preserve. Souvenir. Handmade. Goods.